Hello everyone, I'm Jason Hillis. I am the Emergency Management Director for Warren County, among a few other hats that I may wear. And today I got with me our County Executive Terry Bell, and we are inside what is used during the day as the Warren County Senior Center, but also after hours, if need be, the emergency storm shelter for the county. So with that, I'll let Executive Bell tell us a little bit about how this came to be.
Yes, of course, I'm Terry Bell, the county executive, and when I took office, we were looking at what would happen if we had needed a shelter or we had any kind of disasters in Warren County with the safety committee that is composed of county commissioners. So we were looking at that avenue, and after we purchased the mall, we got looking at maybe this would be an ideal location for us to put in a shelter, because people don't understand, but we could have any storms, any kind of event that we have people that's unhoused, and we had nothing prepared in Warren County to do anything for those people. So we, as the safety committee, took this task on, and Jason became our EMA director. We were looking to make that happen for people, so we picked out the senior center because you need the biggest location you can get to put a lot of people and a lot of space. And so that's the way this come to play, that we would use the senior center as a shelter. And as time moves on, we're in the process right now of going out to bid for a community room that's about 5,000 or 6,000 square feet, open space in the new health department, which will actually be generated, which will even add to our shelter when we get that complete, because if we need room to put people in, the senior center also has the capability of being able to cook for those people with natural gas. So if the electricity is out in the senior center, we can still provide food. So
the MyUsage app is a way to conveniently pay online, anytime, day or night. You can also come by any Caney Fork Electric office and sign up for the prepay option available using the MyUsage app. Know exactly how much electricity is used each day and the cost. Best of all, no monthly bill. You can set up email or text alerts, keep track of your usage, and pay your bill, all with the MyUsage app from Caney Fork. Caney Fork Electric, keeping you informed.
Security Federal Savings Bank is always pleased to provide virtually every banking service you could ever need. But more than that, we are proud to offer a relationship with you, your family, or your company. We've been here supplying just what you need and building a trust, a relationship. And that's something hard to find these days. Our bankers are here for you, here to help. If you are interested in a relationship, come to the friendliest bank in town, Security Federal Savings Bank, member FDIC.
Welcome to another edition of Community Insight. Join us as we travel Middle Tennessee, uncovering history and experiencing the adventure of unique stories and events coming to you inside your community.
this was kind of a vision that we had to help the community, because we have a world of people living in trailers, living in camper trailers, and you know, they've moved in here from other parts of the country, and they don't have family to go to like some of the rest of us. Our family's got a basement. I know I've got a basement. I tell my family when the storms are coming up, hey, if it gets bad, y'all come down, get in the basement, and you're protected. We've got people in our community that don't have nowhere to go. So that's what the vision for this was, and that's what we're implementing today.
When Terry first took office, folks may remember, it wasn't a month in, we had the big fires up at Isha. And that became a huge situation that brought in a lot of state resources and some of the National Guard resources, a lot of mutual aid from other fire departments outside of our jurisdiction. And when we were able to see how we were lucky in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, we fell short in some things and needed to fix some stuff. And when the previous director retired, what we realized right away, and what we had realized, was there wasn't much of a budget involved in emergency management. As far as when we talk about things that the department may need, when you look at county budgets, there is line items in there, for example, supplies and materials, things that you may need to run the department. Well, it's often, budgetarily speaking, when you're trying to spend money for something that might happen, that becomes a little bit of a challenge when the immediate needs may happen in the whole county budget out of the general fund at all times. So with me already working for the county, we were able to, and I did take a supplement to do that, but the lion's share of what the salary was, we were able to move that over into supplies and materials to see what we could do with the department, see how we could change the department, and try to move it forward, basically out of the civil defense days and into the emergency management portion of how it should be run. And of course, with that came the shelter, and that was one of the very first things. When Mr. Cunningham come in and resigned that day and he left, we didn't realize it at the time, but to keep our grant funding and keep our accreditation as an emergency management department for our county with TEMA and with FEMA, we have to have 24 hours somebody in that position. You can't leave that position vacant. So when Terry calls and says, hey, look, this is a Friday afternoon, this is after 5 o'clock. Hey, we got to send a letter to the state. Do you mind to be interim till we find somebody? I said, yeah, I'll be interim. But I'm telling you, if I'm going to be interim, I'm going to do some stuff. I agree. That's what he said. So that's where the shelter thing, because we was right, this was January 31st. We knew storm season was a month away. So that's, that's where the whole shelter thing began. And it was trying to find a place that was big enough for everybody, that was comfortable. I mean, I'm sure everybody's seen enough old tornado movies with everybody down in the old dirty cellar. Now, that's not the shelter here, as you know, and we can find out in a few minutes. But and we've had a lot of people come in from different backgrounds. We've had folks come through on motorcycles that were just coming through Warren County on the way somewhere else, and saw that the storms went, and saw on the Tennessee Safe Places map the little dot there, and they were able to push that dot and see the address. We had a couple of guys last year that did that. Folks down at the state park in campers or tents came here. We had in May we had 11 just from that were camping at the state park, weren't even from Warren County, that came and used the shelter on that particular day. We've got people living in mobile homes, a lot of folks living in campers. We see a lot of campgrounds going up. Things are expensive, and it's hard on some folks. And wherever they can save a little bit of money, if they can go stay in one of these campgrounds, a lot of folks are doing it. A lot of folks are buying property and putting a camper on it, and they'll build a house later. But for right now, they're staying in a camper, and that's not a safe place to be in a storm. It's not. Naturally, being underground would be the best case scenario, but for the county to develop something like that could house enough people with the facilities, with bathroom amenities, kitchen, the ability to cook for folks, things of that nature, it's going to be terribly expensive and terribly, time consuming even if we're done. We needed something right then. And this was just really the best viable option for us. Naturally, if we had a big disaster in Warren County, if we needed to use some of the school gyms, or the churches are always going to step up, they always do. That's great, but and if we have to do that, we will. But we would prefer to not disrupt everybody's life any more than possible. If we have a bad storm or a big disaster, one of the goals of emergency management and of the response and the recovery portion of that disaster is let's get things, how fast can we get things as close to normal before the incident happened. And one of that pieces is going back to church. kids going back to school, all those things. And if we've got those gymnasiums or some of those churches full of folks, that can be a challenge. Now, if something big happened, we would do what we had to do. Naturally, we can't put all of Warren County in this building, but we do get upwards of 60 people typically when we have a storm. And we will, and I've had this question a lot, and I want to kind of clarify why or when do I decide, or us as a safety committee or the county executive or even with the sheriff's department and some of the other folks that are involved in the emergency management field, when do we decide to open the shelter? And because we get a lot of storms and not all of them are severe. And a lot of times people, if you've lived around here long enough, you know there's often a lot of warnings and nothing ever happens. Only about 25% of our warnings that we get in Warren County ever actually result in any kind of damage at all, even just some tree damage or your furniture blowing off your front porch. Minor stuff, even more rare, it'd be really bad, something really big. But that does not mean we don't need to take precautions. So just about any time, if anyone sees the weather and you see that 3, that enhanced risk, that little orange stripe, we're almost always going to open. Unless something happens way out ahead of it, it cools down in the weather, just that particular storm cell may just fizzle out and break apart. But most of the time, if we're in that 3 category, at some point we'll look at the timing when it's coming into our Warren County specifically, because that big orange stripe that says enhanced, that 3-level risk, it could be all in Middle Tennessee. It could be coming into Middle Tennessee at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but not get here. Like the last time that we opened, most folks realized it was after midnight before it actually got here. So, we're not going to open up the shelter and stay here for 6 or 8 hours before anything happens, but we do want to give people plenty of time. That's why I encourage folks to sign up for the text alerts or follow Warren County TN Emergency Management on Facebook. Make sure you put the TN in there. You'll go right to Warren County, Ohio. They got to that before I did, but they can sign up for those text alerts on the county's website, warrencountytn.gov. Go to the very top and you'll see departments. Click on that departments and find emergency management. Click on that, go at the bottom of the screen, you'll see a blue hyperlink and it'll take you right where you put in your phone number. Make sure you put in your area code. That's all it needs. No names, no addresses, no personal. It's just going to send you a text that the shelter's open or other possible emergency type alerts that may happen in the county. This is not a text group that sends messages out for fundraisers and other things going on around the community. There's other people that do that. This is strictly emergency or safety related announcements for the county.
And I have 2 kids, so I want to do that for my children. I've got the alert. I didn't realize my kids did, because the first thing I asked them, I said, did you get this alert? And so it was just one of those things. So parents can go on there and add their children to that.
They can. What you want to do though is just to make sure that it goes through, refresh the page every time. Put your phone number in. When you hit submit, it'll give you a little green thing, says you have the little green alert down there below. It says you have successfully, and it'll send you a text to your phone. You have successfully subscribed. The box will go blank for you to put another number in, but it don't all. The best thing to do is just click the little refresh, then to put you another phone number in. You don't have to do it from that particular device or anything. This is just cell phone only related alerts. But it's not very expensive for the county to do that. And it's just an extra layer. I mean, I would never, encourage people to ever rely on that, for everything. But watch social media. I wish everybody had a weather radio. But a lot of times the weather radios in the iPod system that everybody knows what that is. It just starts squawking on your cell phone. You didn't subscribe to it. That's all triggered by the National Weather Service. Even the silver alerts and the amber alerts that the TBI uses, they go through the National Weather. The National Weather Service actually triggers those alerts on your phone. Typically on a shelter night, like I said, 80% of our storms, I was telling you earlier, come in between 6 p.m. and 4 a.m., 3 to 4 a.m. in the morning. That's about 80% of our storms. So it's usually nighttime. This particular TV's about always got the weather up. A lot of the parents will sit around here while the kids are playing. We do offer snacks. We've even We've had storms that come in the early afternoon, 5 p.m. or so. We've made pizzas and had supper here if need be. We've got other TVs in other rooms that we put cartoons on and some stuff on for the kids. If you've been out to the mall, out here to the senior center, you know out here in the common areas the other night when we activated, we had folks playing cornhole at midnight just to kill the time and, try to take away some of the anxiety. The kids have been pulled out of their house at night and they've gone to this strange place, but just to make them feel more comfortable. And, a lot of those children end up making friends with other kids that they didn't even know where they all got to play in, and it's really nice to see. But you have plenty of bathroom facilities over here in this corner for men and women. We normally that popcorn machine's typically going whenever we have an activation. You can see the restrooms here. This was, for those folks who've not been in the senior center but are familiar with the mall, this was where Goody's was. So if you came to Goody's when it was open, this is the same restrooms that was here when Goody's was here. We do ask folks to sign in and out whenever they do come in. We do want to know who's come in and who's left. If we do have a situation where we have to make sure that everybody got out or whatever. We want to know who has came to the shelter and who has left. That's so we don't ask for any personal information. It's basically just a sign-in sheet. If it's the parents and the kids, we ask that you put everybody's name in, so we just want to know who's here. We have some of the constables that step up where they help us do security. We had 2 last time that we activated, and that makes people feel a lot better, especially when we have some single moms that come in with their kids. And this shelter, when there's storms, it's open for everybody. We don't turn anybody away. We have had twice since we started the shelter, we have activated for cold, extreme cold. And that was basically for folks that lose power. If you've got durable medical equipment, we actually had some folks from Ascension St. Thomas come over when we first opened to assess the electrical capabilities in here. If we had some folks that say they have those medical devices at home, do we have enough electric? Is this suitable, for that? And it passed with flying colors, because some of the churches in town and around the county are doing warming type shelters for our homeless or home compromised individuals, and that's their thing that they do. And so we really only open on the cold, when we have the warming portion, I guess you could say, when we have power outages, folks that would normally be just fine if they had not lost power. But storm-wise, we're open for everybody. So having a little security, it does make people feel at ease. And there'll be folks sitting all around when we have this, and cots. We do have, we can sleep 75 people on cots. The safety committee, that's made up of 5 county commissioners, they do want us to get to 100. They're not too awful expensive, but they're not extremely cheap either. So this time of year, when we're ready for storm season, and we may have to activate multiple times, which there's food and water and things, resources that requires, not really something I want to spend the whole budget up on. So we'll see how it goes. I'm usually buying those in 10. If you want to sign up for the emergency text alerts, just again, don't go to our website, WarrenCountyTN.gov. Go to the tabs across the top where it says departments. When that drop down comes in, click on emergency management. It'll take you to the emergency management page. You'll scroll down, you'll see a picture of this ugly guy, but go down below me and there's a hyperlink in blue. Click on that and right there you're off the page. All you have to do is enter your phone number with the area code. That is cell phones only. That is a text alert system, and that's about it, except I would encourage, we're right smack dab in the middle of storm season. April is our busiest month in storms for the Warren County area. Storm season will go on through the end of May, but we do get more storms National Weather Service done a study of our area. It was a 30-year study. They just came out with that, and April was our busiest month. So, and it was last year as well when we started the shelter. We activated twice in May, but we activated 3 times in the month of April. So just keep that in mind, and heed warnings, folks. I know, I mean, I have friends and family that they just soon go out and sit on their porch during bad storms. And I get it. They're really neat to watch. But if you're in a safe area where you see something coming, you can get in the basement or somewhere, that's fine. But do keep in mind that between 6 p.m. in the afternoon and about 3 to 4 a.m. in the morning is when 80% of our storms come through Warren County. It's usually almost always dark or fixing to be dark, where you can't really see things coming. I would remind folks that Tennessee is number 3 of all 50 states, is the third most deaths per year from tornadoes is in Tennessee. Tennessee does not have the third most tornadoes. It has about the 8th most tornadoes nationwide. But Tennessee is third in deaths. Now that is average per year. Some years Tennessee may not have any. Some years they may have 20 or 30. But the average over the last 30 years puts Tennessee at number 3. Now Oklahoma, Kansas, the northernmost parts of Texas, even parts of Arkansas, Missouri. We've seen Joplin, Missouri. One of the deadliest tornado on record for the United States was Joplin, Missouri. Those happen, but that's a very flat area. They happen often during the day. People can see these things coming from miles away. We all see the stuff on TV of the tornado out there and all the storm chasers and, the Twister movies. And some of those tornadoes are 3 or 4 miles away. They've got souped up cameras that can really zoom in. They're way safe distance from a tornado that we're not necessarily have that access to with the trees and the hills and the things that block our view at long distances. So you will see more tornadoes in the Midwest, but you will also see lower amount of death. They have so much wide open farmland as well. There's so many tornadoes that happen in Oklahoma every year that doesn't impact a single person, does not destroy a single home, but is a recordable on the ground tornado. So those numbers, the amount of tornadoes, yes, we have states that have more, but when I look at the deaths, the actual impact, it really impacted families and lasted, long after the storm was gone. Tennessee's number 3, and a lot of that is the fact that we have so many late at night when people are asleep, and the fact that not everybody pays attention to the warnings, because not every warning results in anything. Oh, that warning goes out all the time. Well, it may. In this business, in the emergency management and the storm warning business, it's kind of a boy who cried wolf sort of business that we're in. But I want folks to realize that when we do that out of an abundance of caution, and we want people to stay safe. If they don't feel safe, we want a place for them to come where they can feel safe, and that's what the shelter is really all about. But just heed the warnings. When something bad happens, there's going to be a lot of folks in this county that have to deal with that. And we can replace homes and we can replace stuff, but we can't replace the people in our community, because that's what this is for. And so I really hope people do heed the warning. If you don't come here, go somewhere that's safer than where you may be at that particular time. Don't be out on the road. Make sure you have a plan if we have a big power outage from one of these storms. And, the kids some of them are at ball practice and you're at work and, you're separated. What's a good plan for your family to reunify, to come? Where are you going to go? Sit down and talk to you. Sometimes it's a scary conversation. And sometimes it's really not front and center of everything that's happened in everybody's day, what the kids have done and how work was today and all the stuff you talk about when you go home around the dinner table. Make time to have a plan. Have a plan for your family. If we get separated, where do we find each other at? If we can't, if the cell service is down or, power's down or whatever the case may be, have those conversations. And, and if you're a family that's sat down and took the time to make a safety plan or an emergency plan, if you've not practiced it, it's only halfway done. You don't have to go full blown, gung ho about it, but just drive around. We're going to go here or there, or have every so often check your emergency go bag. If you got when we open the shelter, we tell folks the shelter is a lifeboat, not a cruise ship. Pack light. Bring your medicines. If you need to change clothes, toothbrush, whatever, if you want to stay overnight, we can usually see that ahead of time. If it may, we're prepared the last time to stay all night if we needed to. So pack light, but so many people have that little emergency bag, and it may stay in their car or it may stay in the bedroom, in the closet, but throughout the year, they may need something out of it. So they may use it, I'll put that back later. They don't always put that back till they need it. Check that stuff pretty regular. We have spring cleaning. That's coming in. That's what's going on right now. We clean hey, check your stuff. Check your emergency plan. What's changed? Maybe something's changed. Maybe you've moved. You don't have the same plan for where you're going to go or where you're going to reunify if you can get separated from the rest of your family that you had the year before. So check that stuff and make sure practice it, even if you just walk through it. And the kids, I've got 3 of my own. They'll probably think it's silly. But someday they'll have kids and they'll understand. So you do it. It's one thing to talk about it and write it down, but you're really not done until you at least walk through it and practiced it a little bit. Because what it does, that has a psychological effect, especially for your children and for the rest of your family. That if something does happen, they know they've walked through this before, so they get just a little bit more comfortable than they would have been if it was just flying blind in the middle of an emergency. So they get a little bit of peace of mind that, hey, we've done this before. And you can look at them and say, we practiced this, we've walked through it, here's what we're going to do, let's go. So it does calm everybody down, and it keeps, because if you're rational in an emergency, most of the time you're going to come out in much better shape than if you're in a panic and you weren't ready, at least to some extent. So that's what I would encourage everybody to do. And if you have any questions about that or how you should prepare, what kind of things you should have in an emergency bag, if you had to leave your home for any reason, or what you should have in your house if you had to shelter in place. If you'll notice, whenever you look at like FEMA's website or even the state's website, and most people may wonder why this is because they don't often explain it, but they'll say you should have enough food and supplies in your home to shelter in place for 2 weeks. You should have enough supplies in a go bag if you were have to evacuate at least for 3 days. Well, why 3 days? Why 2 weeks? Well, if you have a regional disaster and you had to leave your home on foot, the average person within 3 days walking distance will find resources that are intact. Very rarely is there a storm that is that broad that if I walk from my house in any direction, if I had to go, I could not find sustenance, electricity, water, a neighborhood, a town that wasn't affected within 3 days. That's why that 3-day number. You may walk a few miles to the other side of the county and be just fine, but that's why that 3 days, it's kind of an obscure amount. I always wondered that, but that's why that is. 2 weeks. If everybody in Warren County all of a sudden lost all their power, every power line was tore down, it would take about 2 weeks. That's with perfect weather for the utility companies to work with. It'd take about 2 weeks to get to every home. And we're not talking about just sections of the county that may be hit by a storm, but if it was that bad. So, the concept is to plan for the worst. And that would be the worst case scenarios, because anything below that happens, you're ready. If you're ready for the worst, if something bad happens, it's not the worst, you're always ready. So those are the things that I would hope people would take away from this conversation. And like I said, Rick, please reach out to us if you have any questions at all. And if I can't answer them, I promise you I know who can, and I will get you in touch with them.
Jason Hillis with the Warren County Emergency Management Agency. Jason, we appreciate your service to the community. And one more time, for more information, people can find out about the shelter.
You can call the Emergency Management Office, 931-473-8446. You can call the County Executive's Office, 931-473-2505. You can also send me an email at wcema@warrencountytn.gov. Make sure you put the TN in there. A lot of people leave that out. I sent you an email. Well, I didn't get it, So make sure you put that Warren County, spelled all the way out, TN.gov.